All right. Welcome to the PokeRadar podcast, episode. I think this is 5. We're doing a little pre-recording here for the Christmas week, so this is the Christmas special. Today we have a very special guest, one of the up and coming YouTubers. He's been focused heavily on the financial side and has grown quite the following with some amazing box breaks, I might add. We have the wonderful ZandGEmporium. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited. I've listened to, I think, all of them except your last one, Pokemon Revolution. I haven't looked at that one yet, but I will be.
Yeah, that one went great. You know, Nick's a great guy. One of the bigger names in the hobby, of course, and good friend of mine now. So I was happy to have him, and we had a real nice conversation yesterday. And I'm getting some great feedback from this, and I'm enjoying it. And it's been a lot of fun. I've seen, you're a recently started YouTuber. Nick finally hopped on YouTube again, so it's something I spontaneously happened, and I see you're enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. We're all having a good time.
Yeah.
So to start, I like to, we're doing the Meet the Collector series here. I've actually never spoken with you. I recently found out that you've been a long-time E4 member. I thought you were just a new YouTuber on the block trying to make some waves and do some things. So why don't we hear a little bit about your story? When, how long have you been an E4 member? How long have you been collecting?
I think I've been on E4 for a few years now. I'll have to look at when exactly it was, but it's probably around 2017, I'm thinking. So I started Pokemon around, 1999, and I was in, what was I in? 6th grade, I think.
Okay.
And I remember, lining up outside. I don't know if you did this, but when parents dropped you off, you had to line up outside before, going into school, and they did roll call or whatever. I don't know if that's the same for everybody, but I remember all the kids in line were always looking at, this game, and I was like, what is that over there? And I looked at it and I was like, oh, that seems interesting. So I went home, and I'm not sure. I can't remember if I had a Game Boy already or not, but I got Pokemon Red, and everybody was doing Blastoise and Venusaur, and it's kind of annoying. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go against the grain. I'm gonna do Bulbasaur. I'm gonna go for the Venusaur, which was a huge mistake. I mean, he just sucked. Anybody who's done Venusaur knows he sucked. He just, when you had, especially, there are 2 things wrong with Venusaur. One, you picked him, and Gary got Charizard, right?
Yep.
So you absolutely were just jealous the whole time. You were just blasting you with Fire Blast. It was annoying. And then 2, basically the whole time, like, my thing was, I remember putting, I think it was 400 hours on Pokemon Red. I remember seeing, like, a little game time on. I was like, wow, that's a whole lot I put in this. I remember I was a guy who got all his Pokemon up to level 100. I wanted them as best as could be. And the biggest thing is when you were doing the Pokemon, it's like I wanted that final move. It's like Blastoise got Hydro Pump and Charizard Fire Blast, but then he got Solar Beam, and it was so weak because he had to charge first round.
Yeah.
And then you shot it, and it wasn't even that good. It was such a disappointment.
Right, I think that was before like the sunny day move where you could enhance those attacks, and you had to charge up, and it just didn't make sense. It was
it was bad. I mean, at least Hyper Beam you got to shoot. You had to recharge, but it was after, so you could maybe do the last thing where you shot it and then he died and it didn't matter.
Right, and it did a lot of damage though too. So
yeah, right, it did a whole lot more.
Right.
And I think I'd have to look at the card, but I'm pretty sure Venusaur's base set Solar Beam isn't that powerful either.
I believe it does 60
damage,
60 damage.
Yeah.
Blastoise does what, 40 up to, I think he only does up to 60 with his additional one, because you can. I remember it being. Yeah, I haven't played the card game in a long time, but I think the more water energies you attached, it did an extra like 10 damage or something up to a certain point. But I don't know if we follow that rule. So when I was a kid, we were putting 30 water energies on him and knock it out.
So I did that. I did a whole lot of the game, and then I don't know when I mean, it was 1999. I got in the card game, but
Did you have siblings that were included, or like that
I had a
got you involved?
sister. I had a sister that I pretty much got her. She never played the game. She's a very creative type, so she's a very good singer and she's a really good drawer. So we used to like draw kind of comics strips basically about like we just made characters where Charizard was kind of a buffoon and Ash was kind of an idiot and
That's interesting.
Pikachu was kind of like like a godlike figure.
Do you
So we had these kind of like different characteristics we put to each one.
do you still have
And
any of those lying around in the parents'
yeah,
basement? Or?
I do. I have my parents actually have those somewhere, and I do have. Actually, one of my very early videos, kind of me. I tried to draw out all 150 or the first 151. I didn't think I got all the way there, but she was a much better artist than me. But
Well, you'll have
I
to
got
bring those out sometime for one of your YouTube. I'd love to see that. I think
yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's funny. I've always had horrible writing, so you can't even tell what my jokes were.
Oh,
Like it's such crappy handwriting, but she could even tell what hers already. She's a much better drawer. But yeah, so that was basically that extent. And we used to watch the anime every Saturday morning. But other than that, she didn't really get into the game or the cards. That was more my cup of tea. But yeah, I did that, and then I got Pokemon Silver. I did that. That was fun. I think that was, I, well, it wasn't better than the first one, but just the graphics upgrade, just how many there were. That was a really fun game. Just taking Lugia and just destroying everybody. And I took Typhlosion in that one because I didn't make the same mistake twice. I was like, I'm gonna get fire this
see,
time,
I
and
I went ahead and because yesterday I talked about this with Nick. My two older brothers got to pick first, so I was stuck with Bulbasaur.
oh
Um,
yeah,
and then, but we carried that over to silver and gold.
oh
So
wow,
I ended up getting Meganium, and I love Meganium. He was
oh really,
just I remember I was even beating my brother's Typhlosion with him,
oh huh.
and that was
I
before
didn't.
we knew any of the how to get at, all the stats and all that, how to strategize with your attacks. But um,
Mm-hmm.
Meganium was a monster. I loved playing with him. So it worked out for me in the in the end.
Yeah, I didn't even risk. It was such a bad experience with Venusaur. I was like, I'm not gonna make the same mistake twice. So I got Typhlosion and went with that. But then
Okay.
I went all the way to Gen 3. I
Okay.
went to, I went there and I think I picked Mudkip on that one. So I went, I had the whole gamut: water,
Okay.
fire, and the grass on all three ones. And yeah, that was a fun game too. I remember having Groudon and
Yeah, I don't. I played that game. I don't remember it quite. Like the only things I remember are the Groudon, and I loved that because I thought he was just beastly.
mm-hmm.
And then, but I hated that was the gen with like Regice, Registeel, right?
Yep,
I did
yep,
not
yep.
like that because you went from being able to chase down these legendary dogs, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I remember being in the car going on road trips with my brothers and cousins, and we would basically just whoever caught one first, we were just kind of racing for it, and that was just a fun little game. And that was before we knew
Mm-hmm.
how to map it, because I think there's a way to understand where he goes, or
Oh
where they
yeah.
go. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I thought the Regice, Registeel were kind of lame.
Did they? Didn't they? But for the Gen 1, didn't wasn't like Zapdos or Articuno or whatever. Weren't they just like in a certain spot too?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But they were, they were the OGs. They were,
yeah. Right.
those were, having the
They
birds.
get a
They were
pass.
cool. They were, yeah, and just having a couple rocks. I,
Yeah,
I,
that's true.
I,
That game
I
was
didn't
kind
get
of
it.
lame.
Yeah,
I stopped after. Yeah, but I stopped after that. I didn't really get
yeah.
anything further than that. But that was so. For the card game, I went pretty deep as well. Like I said, I went into like first or second year of high school. I was still playing it. I didn't really care if. But
Right,
basically, the only reason I stopped was because they were just more pressing things I had to do. I had to get into college and get grades, and then get a job, and basically become an adult. It kind of becomes the back burner. It
right.
wasn't really anything to do with being cool or whatnot. I was never cool, so I didn't really care. But yeah, I collected cards. I did base set. I remember I remember jungle being real hard to get where I lived. I live in Ohio.
Really? I grew up
Yeah,
in
I just couldn't.
Michigan, and that was the most
Oh, really?
abundant. Yeah, that was.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I just couldn't. I couldn't. Fossil was everywhere. I could
yeah,
get fossil all day. I remember getting. That was pretty much one of the few first editions I could get. I mean, the first editions were everywhere.
yeah. Okay.
I remember opening and getting a first edition muck and being pretty disappointed about my only fossil. Because that's pretty much the worst hollow you can get.
Yeah,
But
I just
but
opened
yeah,
two theme decks recently, and
mhm,
they give you the
yeah.
muck out of it, and it's just not that
Oh
exciting.
yeah, yeah. That's disappointing.
Did
But
did you
I go
just
ahead.
touching on the first edition stuff? You're kind of what like to think is the prime age for Pokemon. I mean, you look at Nick S. and Pratt, yourself.
Mhm.
Um, that the kind of age group seems to be quite successful with Pokemon. Um, not taking away anything from your got you guys being smart on the business end and recognizing this opportunity. Um, but did you notice or were you aware of first edition base set or shadowless back then too?
Uh, I think I was aware of it just because I used to, I always used to go with my, it's funny, I always used to go with my mom to the grocery store just because I wanted to go every time because I wanted to go to the magazine aisle
Mm-hmm.
and like open a, either a Nintendo Power or usually it was Beckett was the big one that had all the, Pokemon stuff in it. So I was
Okay,
like, look at the price guy and I think I knew about it, but I definitely never saw it, or I never really was aware of it in terms of what I bought.
gotcha. Yeah,
So,
okay. Because my oldest brother, he's early 30s, and I remember I've talked with him a lot about it, and his friend, our neighborhood buddy, was kind of the biggest nerd of them all, and was the one
mhm,
teaching us about stuff, and he was well aware of first edition and shadowless at that time, and he was trading everybody for that stuff, because no one else really knew or understood. So, um,
yeah, I think I knew. I'm not sure if I ever knew about Shadowless until a few
okay,
years ago when I got back into it. I just didn't even know that was a thing.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
same with me, and probably most people. Um,
yeah.
so with the card game, you how far did you go into?
Well, I think I went all the way until Skyridge. So I went the whole gamut of WotC. Probably I stopped. I don't remember even collecting Skyridge or even that was a thing. I think it was like Quapolis Expedition were
Okay,
my kind of final sets because I can't really even remember the cards I got, but I do remember that I actually did own an e-reader that
okay.
connected to my Game Boy, and I did actually use it. Like just,
Oh
I remember
wow.
using it and saying, oh, "This is kind of useless," It really wasn't. You use the technology, it's like, okay, well, it's kind of a gimmicky and
Yeah.
whatnot. I guess that's why it probably didn't catch on, but I do remember using it, so I remember
Well,
buying
that's
it just for that purpose. But other than that, I really didn't collect it.
yeah. That's I mean that's quite rare to hear someone go almost all the way through WotC. Most of us stopped at the gym series and even to go as far as using the e-readers on the game, which
Yeah,
I, I
yeah.
I know Rusty's talked about those things just they're simply not working. So,
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah. It wasn't a very good technology. So
okay, going back then, I mean, you were a little bit older. You might have had a part-time job or something. Were you able to buy full booster boxes back then for yourself, or were you just
no,
buying packs?
no, I was never. I mean, let's see, I'm 32, so when
Hmm.
I was 99 to probably I stopped around. I don't know when it's
With
2003 something four. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, I mean I was still only I probably stopped at 13, 14,
okay,
you know,
yeah,
15, something like that, years
gotcha.
old. It basically, it's once around that time that I got my first job, and you had to pay car payments and
Yeah,
insurance and cell phone and all that crap, and it just became an adult, and you use your money for other stuff.
right.
And that's kind of where it. Wish I hadn't, but
Yeah,
that's just the way. That's
of
just the
course.
way it goes.
Yeah, yeah. I think back in the day, my dad may have bought my brother a Jungle Booster box because we
Mm,
had one when we were
cool.
digging through old stuff. I never got I think I got a box of maybe Dragon Ball Z or Magic the Gathering, whatever I was into at that time.
Hmm.
Um, as we were
Yeah,
phasing out of Pokemon. Um,
yeah. I'm one of those rare cases, I think, where I went straight through and I never did anything else. Never did Dragon Ball Z, never did Yu-Gi-Oh, never did. There wasn't a single other game that I did except Pokemon. I was just kind of like straight obsessed with it in every way, and then it just kind of stopped doing it, and that was it. And then I think that's why it became really cool to be bring back at it, throwing myself into it again.
yeah. So
But
when did that start? What grabbed your attention to come back in?
I think it was around I think it was around 2015, 16. I was in a job and in a cubicle or whatever, or in an office, and most of the day you're just on the computer and you're listening to YouTube, through a headphone. And I think I somehow stumbled upon a couple of YouTube channels that were Pokemon related. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. One of them was ZandGEmporium, who's obviously
Yeah.
still around.
Yeah.
And just seeing him opening up and excited, it's like, are there adults opening this stuff? And it's like seeing his age, and it's like, oh, that's around my age. And getting back into it, and I looked at the prices he was saying. I was like, did these increase in price? Or these, because from my point of view, I was thinking it was like, the Star Wars TCG or the Harry Potter TCG, the ones that like really didn't increase in value at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of the same as they were.
Which I have some of.
Prices. Yeah. And I look at these prices, and I was like, wow, that's crazy that's those prices. And I thought, what, I still have some of those cards somewhere. And I talked to my parents, and they said, no, I think it's lost, they're gone. And I was like, okay, whatever.
Oh wow,
And
that's.
I was going through and just continue watching these Pokemon YouTube channels. I can't remember anything other than Gem at Pokemon.
Yeah,
But,
he was a big driving factor for me as well.
yeah.
I definitely, I don't know if it started with him because there were so many to go through.
Mm-hmm.
But Zach, he was his videos were big because, um, he was just the way he handled the cards when he was opening and what he talked about was something that really made it easy to understand that Pokemon was becoming a business opportunity, and it
Right.
really intrigued me to start buying. And also, I mean, I plan on having him on the podcast soon, but he was very responsive to me when I first started getting back into it. So he was a huge factor of educating me and getting me started.
Yeah. He's really cool. I've actually done quite a few deals with him. He's it's kind of crazy just to think now. Like I was doing deals because he was kind of a YouTube celebrity in my life.
Right.
Seeing how much he did.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, but it was really cool seeing his excitement for it, and just him, like you said, handling the cards. He was basically handling it like they were pieces of art, which
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah.
I tell people like basically I'm an art dealer. That's what I am.
You don't tell him you're
True.
dealing in Pokemon cards?
Or you... No, that's like, well, no, I totally laugh, but at the same time, it's like little. I've had people, I've had friends that don't understand it, and they're like, oh, I remember my one of our neighbors, one of my wife's friends with them, we walked over and I talked to him, whatever, and I remember telling him what I was doing on the side, and the wife, she was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Why would people pay this much for that, this much for that? And I pointed to a piece of art on her wall. It's like, well, how much you pay for that? And she's like, I don't know how much it was, a couple $100. I was like, that's all I'm doing. It's just a little piece of art. It has a signature on the bottom. Well, it's not a signature, it's a print of the artist's name.
Which is probably a nobody that.
Right. I mean, and it's, just like the Pokemon cards have an artist signature at the bottom, there's a print run, right? Just like they're prints of art. I mean, that's all it is. It's a piece of art that can appreciate value. So, but yeah, that's what I usually tell people. But going back to the way I got back into it with looking at Gem and Pokemon, and I think he had mentioned E4 is how I is how I discovered it, I think.
Hmm.
I'm not sure how else I would have, unless I then also stumbled upon Scott's channel and
Yeah,
he said it on that one.
yeah.
But yeah, and then I started. I was looking at the prices, and I looked at a local Craigslist, and I remember pretty vividly someone was selling a base set booster box for $700, and
Okay.
I don't know what year this was. I don't know if it was 2016 or early 2017, something like that. And I was looking at the prices on eBay, and I think they were like $1,000, $900, and I was like, you know what? I could make money if I bought that. But I was like, I can't spend $750 on, you know. I
Card
had,
Pokemon.
yeah. I moved in with my girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna spend $750 on this box. Yeah, it just didn't really make sense. But I just saw like price going and going and going up, and within like 6 months, that box was worth like 1,500, and I was like, I could have bought this,
Oh,
and
okay.
maybe that's kind of crazy. So it just kind of, and then I called my parents again and said, are you sure there's nothing there? And they actually found them,
Oh,
and
nice.
they sent it back to me. And here's one of the biggest disappointments ever. So when I was a kid, I treated my cards really well. Like I got it straight out, I put it straight through a sleeve, straight into a top loader or binder. And I did have some that I didn't do this to. So what happened is that one Christmas, it was probably, I don't know, maybe I think it was the Christmas of '99. Maybe it's Christmas 2000. I'm not sure. But all these cards, I got a laminator, and I laminated all my cards because
Oh,
I thought that would preserve it. That would
yeah.
preserve it, and they would never get scratched, and they would never get bent.
Yeah.
And I took like days, and I just laminated. I mean, I laminated Charizards,
Oh no.
Blastars, just like all this stuff, and I mean, they were all mint, and I got them back from my parents. And I didn't do it for some of the, like most of the Gen 2. Like I did have like, I remember, Shining Tyranitar, Shining Steelix, and some of the Gen 2 stuff that I opened, the Neo Destiny, and Neo Gens, and those Neos that I didn't do it. But before that, in the 90s, and 1999, maybe early 2000s, I laminated all my cards. I got all these cards that were just so useless. And I was like, oh, why'd you do that? Why did you do that? But I thought I was preserving them,
Yeah, I
but I
definitely had a
didn't.
friend or two that laminated some cards. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, idiot.
Yeah, it's a nice
But
story.
I got those graded, the ones that did laminate,
Okay.
and most of them came back nines and tens, so that was awesome. And it was just crazy how I could sell. I remember I got I think a first edition PSA 10 Neo Discovery Tyranitar, which I think I got like $250 for. I sold it to some guy in the Netherlands, and I was like,
What
that is
was
crazy.
was
I'm
that like your
selling this.
first? Was that like your first selling process? Was selling
Yeah,
your old cards then? Okay.
yeah. So I sold. I think I got maybe, I don't know, after grading fees, maybe $800 or something. It wasn't much because I knew
That's
I had
good.
most of them were laminated. But yeah, but I was able to start with that. Now it's kind of my seed
Okay.
money to start going out
Yeah, and I mean,
onto.
yeah, you hopped in the grading pretty soon. I
Mhm.
mean, I still rarely grade. I've never been in the graded cards. I've definitely missed out on a ton of opportunities to do that, but um,
Yeah.
that's okay. So you were doing that right away, and I mean, when you started, what was like your initial goal? What were you chasing? Were you trying to be a true
Uh,
collector, or were you just like straight into business? What was
well,
the deal?
so just like the original Pokemon Red, where I wanted to, be level 100, just, scorched earth. Just what my goal was as quickly as I can, I wanted either a PC 10 first edition Charizard or a first edition base box.
Okay,
So I wanted to be the top of the mountain as I thought I could go.
that was my
And
goal as well. Was that box?
yeah, hmm and so I started. I took that seed money. I started buying stuff, and at the end of 2017, I really started and
Hmm.
started the eBay page and started selling. Started getting. I did a lot of auctions because if you have one or two feedback, not many people
Right.
buy you as good of prices as more established. So I just kind of threw stuff out there, tried to
Hmm.
get a feedback built up, and just went out there, just started just Hammer in the Roads Phoenix and went on OfferUp and Let Go at Craigslist and
Yep.
um, just started finding stuff. And 2 years later, I'm gonna actually make a video of how I started with this amount of money. And 2 years later, I have a first edition base box, and it's
Which
free.
it's just a
Like,
beautiful thing, and unfortunately, I've strayed away from that goal. I mean,
yeah, there's
I could get there now, but it just seems, um, I'd have to, turn in my whole collection for it, which I think you almost did. Um,
yeah,
but
it's
seeing that,
yeah.
that's a great accomplishment for you, and I'm very jealous of it. But I watched your videos, and I think at the time, I calculated, at least my end, an estimate of around 85,000 of trade value for it.
Something
What
like
do you
that. Yeah,
is that
I
what you would
traded.
estimate at?
Yeah, I traded. So basically, okay. So I had that opportunity. So there was, I think, right around that time, like TCG Gaming Rusty like showed his fake first
Yeah.
edition box, and I
Hmm.
was like kind of scared everybody. And I was like, ugh. But I had. So this box was it was from a collection of a guy who had every first edition box, every WotC box. So he was
Yeah.
just a collector in that sense,
Yeah.
and all of his other boxes were real. It was authenticated by Collector's Cash. It was authenticated by David Adams Card World and by another private guy. So
Yeah.
I didn't really have any too many issues with, if I had to go after David Adams, that somehow this
Do you know who that private
does.
guy is? You don't have to say his name because I do, but
No,
okay.
I don't. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
No. But yeah, and it's pretty near mint. It's not mint. I've held truly mints, considering how many boxes I've held. I've held the truly mint boxes. I think Rusty has said like so many people say that box is mint, it's not.
Yeah.
But it's pretty near mint. The corners are a little shaved off. They're not super sharp. But yeah, I traded away two first edition of every Neo box. So Destiny Red, Genesis, and Discovery. And
Hmm.
some of those boxes really spun. I actually put a pretty high trade value on the boxes when I sent it to them, but I think they've actually
They did well
exceeded
with
or
them.
reached them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. They did really well with those.
yeah. Which
Um.
I knew would happen because basically I could tell they wanted the capital, and
Yeah.
it's such a hard thing to sell. It's such a high priced item, and I said, here you go. And the negotiation was actually funny because I actually had bought that stuff off them.
So
Actually, most of those boxes from them.
yeah, I was really surprised when you brought those out. Again, I didn't know much about you, and I was watching your videos, and you had some great stuff, and then you pulled out these Neo boxes. I was like, whoa, this guy's got some nice stuff. And you got all those from David Adams or from those websites, or did you have some of them for a while?
I I got most of them from Dave Adams, and I didn't
Okay.
get them that. I got them mostly. I got another one from another card store who had a set of four, but basically at one time I had I think three of every box,
Yeah.
and I just kind of went wild on the Neos because I really like the Neo sets, and
Hmm.
I saw the spikes of you know I saw the spikes of Jungle and Fossil and Team Rocket and the
And and
GMs, and
and
I
Neo
was like,
hadn't
it's not.
spiked yet.
And Neos was going. There just wasn't as much.
It was
The
moving, but
volume of
not.
selling,
Okay.
yeah, it wasn't there where it wasn't really too known yet, and it was still a lot to drop. You know, whatever it was, 5, 6, 9,000 on a box, and just opening all these boxes and seeing what they were selling for. How quickly I was selling these. The Team Rocket and whatever, and Jungle and Fossil. It was like, well, you know, I think the big thing is that I had been for all of 2017 and most of 2018. All I was doing was going out and buying locally. All these collections,
Okay.
and you'd see so many mint or at least near mint base Team Rocket Jungle Fossil gym series. I mean,
Yeah.
so many. It
Yeah.
was, and you never saw Neo. I mean, I just never saw them. And I never saw a really E series either. And just the amount, just the way these are rising, I was like, well, just the supply of these, just I can't find them anywhere. So I knew
Yeah.
there had to be some kind of correction there, and so
That's a real good eye. Yeah.
uh, yeah, so I bought I mean, at the time it was like, oh, it was at the top of the price, but in July, like these Neo Destiny boxes, about three of them for like 9,000 each. And I
Wow.
think I got trade value of like 3 months, was it 3 months later, something like that?
Yeah.
Something like 18,000 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it almost doubled in price. That's, that's, it makes sense. I mean, to
It's
see something like
it's hard to pass up
Skyreach,
on that. Yeah,
yeah,
the opportunity. I mean, I come from a very traditional family, and my dad's very conservative. And talking with him about the stock market, he's chasing 3-4%. And
yeah,
when you see an increase like that, even with Pokemon, it's hard to hold on to it. Um,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's a part of growing with this, and a part of building your collection. So, you always look back and you regret getting rid of something, but you wouldn't be where you are
Right.
today without doing that.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is, well, the biggest thing with this trade was that I don't know when I could get one that was not only authentic, but one that I had the backing of a huge company that I could probably go after, and I was pretty confident that it is, authentic and real, and that was my whole goal at the beginning. So I did trade it right away a
Hmm.
whole lot, but at the same time, you don't know when you're going to get that shot again. So it's
Right.
one of those things where you kind of have to weigh, selling off part of the collection and that avenue. But
But yeah, that's
yeah,
something that is very, it's surprising, that not many people do is buy from those websites because they're at the top of the market, and that's a big risk that you took, and it obviously paid off. I mean, I know, earlier this year TCA was buying a lot of boxes from those guys, David Adams and
mm-hmm.
Troll and Toad and Collector's Cash, and I thought he was crazy paying those prices when there were so many available.
Right.
um, but he saw something that not many did, and did very well on them. And same with you. I mean, that's something I have been considering so long, is buying boxes from these companies. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I
and a lot of
definitely
these,
missed out on the boom.
yeah, and a lot of these companies, I mean, their prices that they list aren't real. You don't have to buy the prices. You can contact them and just
Yeah,
work with them. They're a company too, and a lot of
everything's
times you can just,
negotiable.
yeah, and a lot of times, and for these, I sent wires, so they had no fees. I
Right.
just had the $25 wire fee or whatever,
Okay.
so that kind of helped them in that area. And it's they need capital too. I think that's a big thing about, and I think I listened to your podcast with Swolepoke
Hmm.
about how you had to sell off something to get those base set packs, right? The
Yeah.
jungle box or something like that.
Yeah.
And
The
that's
the
a
jungle case. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the biggest thing with that I've discovered. And the most emails I get about finance or whatever in the Pokemon is capital, and that's the biggest thing holding back a lot of deals.
Hmm.
Because capital is such a big thing, and that's what most small businesses, that aren't growing or need to grow, they need. They need lines of credit. They need this capital in order to grow. So a lot of it is just a balancing act of what should I keep, what shouldn't I,
Right.
because what stuff the fun thing about this is that you never know what's going to happen every day. Who
Yeah.
knows when the next big thing comes around,
Yeah. Cash is king,
and
and
yeah,
that's
it
that's
really
something
is.
that I took a hard hit on earlier this year. I've talked about it. So I started really, this was my first year of really starting to sell stuff, and I've always sold things, because I needed to, but I'm really, had to sell parts of the collection that I thought I would hold on forever, and it's been painful to do so, but it's got to be done. I'm not get, I'm working a 9 to 5, and paying
Yep.
rent and paying all these expenses. I can't sit on this, that certain amount of money that I have, out there. So it's just a part of building. It's a part of life. I mean, it's hard to look at guys like, Scott, Pratt, who just has so much, but he built this hobby. He
Right.
it's his full time job, and he's had to turn around a lot of stuff. But
Oh yeah.
he started the same as we did, and in a much harder time where, people didn't want to buy the stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
That's a
yeah,
big thing.
running a business, they have to move stuff. That's what they do. They're not collectors. They're not, they need that cash. They need to keep things moving.
Hmm. Yeah. And that's the like I said, that's the biggest thing with and that's I think what makes a really good collector slash investor slash business slash finance in this is that you don't want to sell this because it makes you really you can kind of have an eye for what the demand is going to be
Mhm.
because if you really demand it, you really don't want to sell it, you know that there'll be demand for it as well because you're a buyer and a seller. You know, when you were had that base set packs and some were heavy. I mean that's the best thing you could probably one of the top things you could ever find in this hobby, right?
Yeah.
Some heavy first edition base packs, and you got to just it's a balancing act, and it's fun, but it's also it can be stressful at times, not
Yeah.
knowing where that's coming from.
Yeah. Well, that's something that I've definitely stuck to, um, especially now, is buying stuff that I truly like, because that's where I got started. With my whole eBay thing, I was buying sweaters and clothing from thrift stores, basically for for college parties and whatnot, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever crazy theme it was, Disney stuff, whatever. And I quickly realized that because I like this, other people will, and I sold stuff on eBay, and that's how I built my eBay page, was with uh, vintage clothing, basically, of things that I liked, and then would sell off after I was done with them. So I've
Oh yeah.
I've kept that going with Pokemon, and realized that, yeah, I've got a decent amount of money out there, but if things go wrong, I'll have something that I truly enjoy, and something tangible that I can hold on to, and be happy with.
Right. Yeah. That's that's an awesome thing to have. I think that's a lot of this too is that I talk about sometimes the stock market and whatever,
Hmm.
and I had been investing or not investing, but been looking at whatever my parents had and following stock market since I was like 12 years old. I mean,
Oh,
it's
wow.
been a long time, and it's because in 12 and 8th grade they had a stock market game where you just kind of invested and whatnot, and it just piqued my interest. And what I've learned is what I like, and I just like like you, I have a job, 40, 50 hours a week, in an office. But I do that 401k, whatever the company matches. But otherwise, I just don't deal with the stock market anymore. I just deal with this because there's so much. If you invest in a stock, you just have no. You really, it's just a crapshoot. I don't care what stock it is. You have
Right.
no idea if there's an accounting scandal, if there's something below the surface that unless you have inside information, you have no clue. And you know, I have a friend who's actually one of the groomsmen at my wedding, and I remember I hadn't seen him in years. I hadn't seen him since college, and a lot of things he was doing gambling, like I mean straight gambling on sports games. He'd be betting hundreds of dollars a game. I was like, man, that's real risky what you're doing, man.
Yeah.
And he quoted the same percentage that stock market pickers like to give is that if you're a top level expert stock picker, and apparently the same stat he gave me, if you're a top level gambler, you win 58% of the time. That's
Wow.
how many times you win. Like you are at the top of your game. You're balling hard on Wall Street if you're good 58% of the time. And I can tell you, I have had probably out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of transactions. I The only thing that comes to mind is one loss. So I'm running 99 point something percent win, and it's just so much easier, and I feel so much more in control
Yeah.
of this marketplace versus anything else that I'm. And I know it's because you know I've been in this game for the early '90s and early 2000 or late '90s, early 2000s, and have kind of an eye for it. But at the same time, it just feels so much more fun and in control
Yeah.
versus
Absolutely.
anything else.
Yeah. I think the one thing I remember, I like to gamble as well. I play blackjack, and I actually got very lucky, and was able to pay off a lot of my student loans with it. But uh, talking about the stock market, I realized that I had just kind of started looking back into Pokemon, like from the outskirts, and I realized that Pokemon Go was coming out, and
Mm-hmm.
not looking into it deeply enough, I I think I bought $1,000 worth of Nintendo stock, which when Pokemon Go came out, Nintendo doubled in price, and
Oh yeah,
I
awesome.
sold right away once it hit that mark. And
Hmm.
then, like, I think a couple days later, we found out that Nintendo had nothing to do with it. It was this Niantic company, and it started to go down. So I did pretty well with that, but um, I took that stock market win and tried to do something else with it and lost all my profit the
Hmm.
next week, pretty much.
Oh yeah,
So
it's
that's
just
that's when I was like, all
yeah,
right, down with the stock market. I'll keep putting in my 401k. I'll do some mutual funds and ETFs here and just let it sit. I'm done with trying to figure this
yeah,
thing out
I
because
know,
I don't
yeah,
know what the hell I'm doing.
yeah, and that's unless you have inside information, then you just really have no. It's just you're totally. It's like you're playing roulette basically.
Right,
It's just it's a
right,
total crapshoot.
right. And with Pokemon, it's something that we greatly enjoy. And I mean, not that we can really have insider information. I feel like I do because of how much knowledge I've gained and all the stuff I've been doing with it. So yeah, like you said, I'm very comfortable with investing in this stuff and understanding where the market's going to go and what little things to look out for.
Yeah, and you just the more you learn, the more you kind of have you know it's not inside information, but it's so much more information versus maybe somebody who you know they collected but they don't really know the intricacies of it. Like for example, my last video I said I bought there was this guy who listed PSA 9 OC Gyarados first edition base Shadows card,
Right.
and he listed for I think $250, which and I saw his eBay username. He didn't really sell Pokemon exclusively, and in a sports card world, OCs are just the bane of existence. Like everybody hates them, right? They're worth a whole lot less
Hmm.
than everything else. But Pokemon's kind of the opposite. It's people like to collect these weird errors and these weird, OC grades. And I know, the PSA nines, the regular ones sell for 400 something. I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna. I was on my couch um, next to my wife, and I was like, so I guess I just need to buy this. There's no sales data. There's no real insight into what it's probably worth, but I know it's worth more than this. You know,
Yeah, I
and this
know.
is
I
kind
know
of the
exactly who and I know you know exactly who to sell it to afterwards too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So and I did. I mean, I sold it within 24 hours for $650.
Wow.
I mean, and that's it's not you know, and this it's fun and you kind of have this it's not inside information, but it's information that you just if you get really deep into it and you know these things and it's just going back into it and just thinking there's in this country, I'm not sure what the minimum wage is. It's like seven something dollars. Let's say $10 an hour. That's a 40-hour work week. $10 times 40. That's
Yeah.
$400 profit,
Yeah.
and that was in a day. That's just crazy when you just go back and think about what kind of if you really take the time to really learn this game and learn what people demand and want and what people don't and what kind of opportunities are out there. You really can make a decent amount out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's yeah, just understanding the market and understanding the buyers, and it's a great opportunity still for a lot of people to hop in. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, touching on that last subject, it was in your last YouTube video, which I love what you're doing with it. The finance side of things. You've done a lot more with it, doing box breaks and selling unweighed packs. Which is great to have a trusted source to do so. Um, and you've started to really dive more into the financial side of things. Um, I saw you actually had almost 250,000 views, which shocked me. Not to put you're a small YouTuber
That
at this
shocked me
point.
too. Yeah.
That's a great that's phenomenal. I'm really happy to see that. You're talking about a lot of the topics that no one else is right now, and that's nice to have. So what are your goals moving forward with YouTube?
Um, well, I kind of, you know what? I'm still kind of, I'm waiting out in the ocean, and I just kind of, I'm not really sure where the direction's yet, but I think I do like talking about the market reports and the finance. I have dabbled in the pack openings, and pack openings just weren't for me. I just,
Yeah.
I think people liked them and they liked watching that, but I got bored of them very easily. Even though it is cool and they are vintage, there are just so many people that just do it so much better than me, and I think they're more excited, and it can just provide a better platform there. So I'll be the kind of the fringe channel that will talk about the finance side, and I know there are ones that do. I know Scott talks about them, but he needs to upload more. Yeah,
He's a busy guy,
yeah,
man.
he's a busy guy, I know,
Yeah, no,
but
yeah, I talked with him the other day, and yeah, he's doing a lot. So it's good to have someone else handle that as well, and also talk about the other side of things. The you know I mean you've been focused a lot on sealed product, and that's something that Scott doesn't discuss too much or offer much information on. So it's
yeah,
good to have another voice out there talking about all this. Um,
yeah.
what's what's one like big thing or a big find that you've had? I always like hearing stories about finding someone finding a treasure trove of Pokemon and getting a great deal on it. Do you have any cool stories like
Um,
that?
well, let's see. Let's see what comes to mind. Let's see. I'll share two of the big ones. One just happened not too long ago, and it's actually on my YouTube channel. So there are people that email me sometimes, and they find collections close to them, but they aren't close to me.
Right.
There's nothing I can do. Either they can buy it and then sell it to me, or it's kind of a weird dance that you have to play with that thing. So this guy was in Boston, and he had a guy who had a whole bunch of sealed stuff, mainly, and you saw on my channel, it was these first edition French base boxes, right?
Oh, right. Yep.
And so he had them, and I think he was selling them for it was like 2,000 something a piece, 2,700 something like. I'm not sure what it was, but it was 5 boxes. Um, but there's just no way for me to. The guy only wanted to deal directly with people.
Hmm.
He didn't want to deal with eBay. I think he I think he was kind of, and a lot of these, if you deal with these big collectors, some of them just don't want to deal with. I know it's a taboo subject, but some of them just don't want to pay taxes.
Right.
They
Yeah.
just they want this cash, they want it under the table. They don't want to give it to Uncle Sam, which I've had to this year, like considering how much revenue I've had. I had to hire a CPA, and it's gonna be a big tax bill. But
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of these guys just want to deal directly, and they don't want to deal with the internet or PayPal and whatnot. But so the guy was like, and I went back and forth with my contact there, and he's like, well, I can drive up there, and it'd be like and buy it, but you're gonna have to pay for it first. And I was like, okay, so
Yeah.
I guess I can PayPal you via goods and services the money so that you get it. Once you get the product, then you can send it back to me on that tracking. I'll be covered, whatnot, and you can have a commission. Basically, I paid him like $1,000 in commission for him to do this,
Hmm.
and I think I paid that like $15,000 to him for the five boxes. And then I ended up at that time, and I talked to because I didn't really know too much about first edition French base set, market.
Right.
There's not really. I don't think there's much of a market out there.
Yeah. I know. I
So
know.
I
I
reached
know.
out.
German was pretty popular and still is,
Yeah.
but the other ones
Hmm.
are a little.
Yeah. And I know Spanish isn't really that popular, but there's a market. It's a first edition base box.
Right. Right.
There's somebody out there who loves them. But I reached out to some of the bigger players out there just to see what they would buy it for, just to see if what I was paying, and a lot of, and I think I reached out to 3 different people. One company, one was Dave Allen, 2 were some private big collectors that we probably know, or I bet you definitely know. But I
Yeah.
reached out to them. The highest one was like, oh, I'll give 10,000. The other 2 were around 12,000. So I was like,
Ooh,
okay, well,
a little
I hope I can
uneasy.
find somebody, yeah, with these. I knew there'd be some. It's a first edition base box. You can eventually, there's somebody out there. Plus, I looked at my analytics on my YouTube page, and there's a whole lot of international people that watch the channel. So I know there's probably somebody out there
Oh,
who would want
that's smart to do. I wouldn't have thought of that, to look to see if you have
yeah,
any French viewers or yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. But yeah, so I got it, shared on the YouTube channel, and within like a day, this guy in Belgium was super interested, and he was more than willing, just because. And this is if you're starting a business or whatever, it's really good to have a face to it instead of just named on it. I know like Gary, King Pokemon, the Pawn Stars of fame, putting his
Right.
face out there, and he might have not been as trusted if he didn't get his face out there and his name, and
Hmm.
been that guy. I think the YouTube channel too has really put it in a way where I'm not sure this deal would have gone through, because he then so he wanted to buy one, so he wanted to trade basically $4,000 for one box, and then he would trade the other 4 boxes for a Skyridge box,
Wow.
which I opened the box and sold the packs for like 590 a piece. It ended up being
How long did it take
like,
you to sell those packs?
well, I got lucky. Some guy bought 18 of the packs
Right.
immediately. Like he bought a whole half a box.
Wow.
And then I just slowly kind of sold. Another guy bought a set of 4 arts, and then the other ones sold slowly. But it was basically probably 21,000 out of the
Yeah, that
box,
that
plus
first
the
half of the
four.
box pretty much covered all your initial
Oh yeah,
costs with the
oh yeah,
French boxes. Wow.
yeah. But yeah, I think this was a guy that bought the 18s. I mean, there are guys out there who will get the packs, weigh them, and then they'll keep the heavies and sell the lights. That just kind of
Did you use
they kind of
a middleman for that trade, or did they, like you said, that you were trusted and
no. The
he
thing is,
sent
this
you
guy
the
was so
stuff?
yeah. The thing is, this guy was so he's like he checked the YouTube channel. He's like, oh yeah, great, and he sent me the Skyridge box
Okay.
first, and
Okay.
I didn't have to say anything until I got it, and it was like stop at customs,
Oh
and I
wow.
had to call customs and tell them to release it, because
Yeah.
I don't know why it was they didn't
Customs is
have.
stressful. I've dealt with
Yeah.
my mystery box too. Unlisted leaf was a headache. But
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember seeing that.
did you have to
Yeah.
pay fees or any import?
No,
No?
I don't know. I didn't have to. Do you? I mean, does US ever have to pay any
I
import fees?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he declared it like 10,000, which is under what it should have been. But
Oh.
yeah,
Well,
I said just. He's like, what should I declare it at? I'm like, I don't know, 15,000. Like, I'll put 10. I'm like, okay, whatever.
yeah.
But it finally got to me. It had a little dented corner, but I didn't care. He was gonna open it. And yeah, I sent those boxes. So basically, we got about 25K in value off of 15 or 10, 15K.
That's
So
amazing.
that was a big deal. Yeah, and that
Yeah.
was something where that's one of those things where you just kind of it is a risk. I mean, so
Hmm.
I don't like that. It's real easy in this game to go out and hey, locally someone's selling a PSA 9 unlimited Charizard for $100. Sells for 200, 250 on eBay. That's easy. That's
Right.
just a guaranteed whatever. But these kind of deals, there's no sales data, or if there is, it's just kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
complicated. But if you kind of know what people want, it's a first edition base on. There's going to be somebody there in the world who wants this eventually. So
Yeah.
that's what that came at.
Yeah.
Another one.
I passed up on a first edition German box back in the day, and it was just simply the fact that I had no one to sell it to. I didn't know what was going to happen with with foreign
Mhm.
booster boxes, and obviously I missed out on that because that Charizard is almost $10,000
Oh,
now in
oh yeah,
PSA 10, and um,
that's crazy.
it's yeah, like you said, it's a first edition base box. There's gonna be someone out there to want that thing. So
Right, and there was like locally, I remember I bought a first edition Spanish box for $800. This was
wow,
2 years ago or something, a year,
yeah,
2 years, and sat on there. Offer up. It tells you like how long the listing is. It sat on there for like 3 weeks. So nobody even looked at it, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not. Once again, there was no real. I couldn't really find selling or a sale on it on eBay, but I just put it up for auction on eBay. I knew they're just the way the packs, how much they were in first edition. I think it sold for like 1,400 or something. But I should have kept on that one. But yeah, the other one I said like I mostly did to start out, and I think most people who are just going to start out, I mean, you have got to just totally be sucked into it and just look locally all the time every day. You got to be looking on eBay
Mm-hmm.
all the time, for these deals. And a lot of them, like I said, was finding deals locally. And I remember finding this guy who used to actually play in tournaments. I think he was in his late 30s, maybe even 40s. But he used to play in the Pokemon tournaments in the late 90s, early 2000s. So, and he was apparently really good. He had won some. But so all this he had played with them, but they were all in sleeves. So that was kind of like, okay, well, how well did he take care of them? And they all ended up being mint. And my whole philosophy was I wasn't going to spend more than I had made in profit up till then.
Okay.
So I took the whatever $800 and I got up to $1,000, $1,200, $1,500, $2,000. I think I was up to like $1,800 in profit up to that point.
Okay.
This is maybe early 2018 or something like that. And he was one of those people, and if you know about negotiating people, there are people that either will tell you a number or they don't want to tell you any number.
Mm-hmm.
They need to tell you need to say the number first. Right?
Yeah.
And those are always the hardest negotiations.
Which that's the correct way to negotiate. If anyone needs a business tip or hasn't gone to business school, always let the if you're in an interview, always let them throw a number out first.
yeah. It's always the number in silence is always more powerful than speaking.
Yeah.
Just kind of sitting there and looking it over. But he said just send a number, and he had a bunch of first edition. He had all the gym, he had all the not basic first edition, but limited, Jungle Boss, Team Rocket, all that stuff. And I just said 1,800, which is all the profit I had. And he's like, well, you have a deal, sir. And I'm like, all right, well, here we go. And I went and met him. I called him Supreme because I have an Excel spreadsheet of all the stuff I bought, and I always name all the people I bought from, just kind of give them nicknames. Mm-hmm. And he was Supreme. He had a Supreme shirt and a Supreme hat, and he had a sticker on his laptop that said Supreme. So he was Supreme. And I ended up grading all of them, and they were all, now, in my opinion, I don't know if it's, I know I've heard this on, E4 and whatever, saying grading is harder nowadays than it was a few years ago, but I really think that's the truth as well. I think they grade a lot harder now.
I don't even, I rarely grade, and I see the results from everybody, and it's unbelievable how much more difficult it's gotten.
Yeah, so if anything, I think the grades, if you see something with a certain number of like 27 million, 28 million, 29 million, like those upper 20 millions, that's when I submitted those, and they all came back 9s and 10s. They were, wow. It was a bonanza. Now, if I'd set those in today, if you see those certain numbers start with like 40 million, 40 million, 44 million.
Yeah, I'm looking at
harder.
One of your videos right now. You got a 40 million shining Kabutops there that I think you sold. Mm-hmm. But yeah, dude, I've got a couple of big submissions out there right now, and that I'm really worried about because I did those big pack openings on Instagram, and a lot of those are the customers that bought those packs that did PSA submissions through me. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of these cards are beautiful, and I'm worried that we're gonna get some population control on them. I actually one of the guys that bought 3 of the packs from me and wanted to grade them himself, he got 3 for 310. So I'm expecting to get 10s on all these base set cards because they were beautiful. But again, with this uneasiness and poor, I think, quality control from PSA right now, it's going to be a crapshoot.
Yeah, and I did the same thing. I opened a whole lot of packs for people, and I had run this program, which I don't do. Which I would get people's packs, and every pack that you opened, I would grade whatever card you want out of it. So I sent in probably, I don't know, 50 cards to PSA or whatnot. In order recently. Yeah. We'll see when those come back. But
I've been getting a lot more requests to do that again. But I've got these PSA subs that are still out there. They're late, and I'm just stressed out about it. So I'm not doing it right now anymore. I think it's a fun thing to do, and that's what I truly enjoy about the hobby is opening packs. If I can get people to pay for it and I can open them myself, that's the best thing for me. And but I'm just I'm hoping it turns out well for all of them. And I'm also wanting to keep a lot of the sealed stuff now. I did a lot of selling recently, and I hate selling stuff. I love the sealed product. So.
Yeah, they the CO market is very interesting. It's a very interesting market. It's completely different than the PSA, card market.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we're coming up on an hour here. This is about the time that I like to go. I've been thinking about some
Cool.
sort of odd question to ask at the end of each podcast, but um, I don't know if I can really think of one off the top of my head here. Um, you
Well,
know,
you're winging it, so
o- other than
you
like some crazy ghost story or which I got that from H3 podcast, but maybe I'll come up with something eventually. So,
yeah,
again, I greatly appreciate your time here and being able to speak with me. And I'm really enjoying your YouTube content. Um, hopefully if one of these days I can, hop on a call or something, we can talk finances and talk some numbers and stuff. I know people love to hear that. So,
yeah, cool. Yeah, we'll and I'll my next video I'll tell people to look at your channel and watch these, and maybe next year, maybe in a year we'll connect again and see what the market is
yeah,
compared to a
absolutely.
year ago.
Absolutely, and again, congratulations on that first edition base set box. That's a beautiful thing, man. Hold on to
Yeah,
it dearly. Don't.
yeah.
I
Hold on,
mean, try not
as
to
long as
open
I
it,
can.
but if you open it, that's even better.
Yeah, I don't know if I could open it.
That's
That's
the goal. Get to the point where
yeah,
the money doesn't matter and you can enjoy that thing.
yeah,
Get a nice
yeah,
glass of wine or something and
yeah.
open it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, great. Again, this was I guess the Christmas episode. So Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Happy holidays. Um,
All right. You too.
and yeah, we'll definitely connect again soon. So have a good one.
All right. You too. All right. Bye.
Thanks. All right. Well, that was ZandGEmporium. So be sure to follow him on Instagram. Follow him on YouTube, especially. He puts out some great financial and investment advice content. On YouTube. He talks about a lot of great things. He's got some great product. He's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience with this stuff. So subscribe to his YouTube channel. Thank you guys for all tuning in, and we'll be back again next week. Thanks, guys.